thanks for being on the show today. Could you give me your name and your professional title?
My name is Norty Cohen. I am the founder and CEO of Moosylvania.
So, Norty, tell me why Gen Zs should pursue a career at an early age.
I think when you are at that age, and I remember being of that age, you feel a little confused in terms of what's out there and what you could potentially do. But I think that creativity as a career would be worth pursuing. And the reason I believe that is that I think it's something that can't be copied. You could learn how to be an accountant, and someone in some other country could figure out how to sell that cheaper. It's very analytical. Or you could get into the creative field. In the creative world, what you create is unique. Everything you do is unique. And having the bravery to try something new is worth striving for, and training yourself to think like a creative person is also worth striving for. And I can't tell you that I started at 18, 19 years old thinking that, but I knew that I definitely didn't want to color between the lines, and I definitely wanted to try something different. And I just held to it as I went on throughout my career.
Awesome. And so tell us, how did Moosylvania get its start? And what are some of the projects that you've worked on?
Yeah, so, I got out of school. I went to school actually to really be a writer and a reporter. And I came out of school and went into advertising. I worked on a number of different projects and programs for many years. I started as a partner in a small agency early on in my career, about 6 years in. That agency was sold about 20 years ago, and I went on and founded Moosylvania about 4 years later. And this was my concept to start an agency, and we've hung with it ever since and been fortunate. Our business has been primarily in the spirits and beer industry. We work as well in other categories, but it's something that we've gotten experience in, and once you have knowledge, it's easier to sort of parlay that into more work.
From what I understand, your office used to be a church. Can you tell us about that acquisition and the process of transforming the church into what we see now as Moosylvania and its offices?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that you'll discover about going to work is that, primarily your work is your environment and the culture that you're in all day long. And I think that what we're used to at this point is having stimulation around us, and whether it be on our phone or on different screens, and having a dull environment, to me, sort of creates a lack of energy. And so I was looking for something unusual and found this church that was in disrepair. We were able to buy it, and we were able to get some federal funding to bring it back to historic value. It's a 100-year-old building. We did a full renovation on it, really way back in 2006, 2007. We've enjoyed it ever since. We kept all the historic value to it. There's all the stained glass, all the other pieces that are around here were all original, and it's all just coming up on 100 years old. I think the fun part about working in a historic building is that it gets cooler every day. It doesn't feel run down. It gets like, oh my God, I can't believe this is even here. And I think everyone's very proud to work in this environment.
I must say that I am very impressed with the renovations, and it's a really, really cool place. So what are some of the services that you offer at Moosylvania?
Right, so our business has evolved over time, but I think everything starts with a sort of a conceptual approach. And we've built our line of thinking really off of the context of consumers want to participate in brands, and we believe that. I ended up publishing 2 books about it. One was called The Participation Game. The other one was called Join the Brand, and it's all about the feeling that people have when they want to connect with brands. That's the product that we sell, and that's really what it comes down to, is how can you create something that feels natural. One of the things that we say about ads is that if it looks like an ad, feels like an ad, it's probably not a very good ad. And that's the fun of creativity, that's the fun of being in this business. And the idea of pursuing a creative career, again, is something that it takes practice. You have to want to get there, but it's worth doing, and it's worth asking people, talking to people about it, because what you do every day cannot be replicated by a machine. It's all happening in your mind, and you can use that and make money.
And so, as we spoke in preparation for this interview, you said that you're a drummer, you're a musician. And so tell me about Maplewood Rafters and that project.
Yeah, so, one of the things that came along for me was I have a passion of playing music, not really professionally, but still playing music as I did from when I was the age of many of you. And I continue to do that. And as time went on, I realized we had this what is the choir loft of this building, which is the original church building. And I realized we could put a stage up here, and we started feeling that we wanted to support original artists. I made a couple of trips to Nashville to try to discover some new bands, and started bringing those bands up here to see if we could get them to perform as well as record them. So I started making recordings and working. You guys have probably met Gio in the previous video. Gio set up some recording opportunities. We actually published an album. There's two of them that we've done so far. One is called Live at the Rafters with a band called the True Hearts. They were up here, and we set that up and put on a performance. People were downstairs. We recorded it, published that album, and then we went on. When we got into this whole quarantine environment, we realized that we could do something else, and that is we could record a concept album where people could send in tracks. And we created a concept called Rock and Roll Over, which we did for charity, which is on a site that we built called Just for Fun, F-U-R-R Fun. And on there, people can geolocate to their closest shelter and download any of 17 tracks that we recorded about dogs. And just having the creativity to come up with music ideas is one thing. Being able to truly write songs is a really special form of creativity. It's not something that I do, but I support it, and I want people to be able to understand there's a huge difference between being able to play and being able to write, and these writers need the support, and I'm happy to do that and continue to do projects with them. So all that sort of evolved. Because I did everything else, I was able to go ahead and use what I'm passionate about and make that into passion projects like Rock and Roll Over.
So before we close the webisode, do you have any advice for Gen Zs? Personal advice, life advice, any encouragement for them as they pursue a career and just life in general?
Well, I think a couple things. I think one is what you choose to study. Don't be afraid to change your mind as you're going through your scholastic pursuits. You may find something that you like better, and if what you're doing doesn't feel right, do not be afraid to change your mind. I change my mind constantly. It took me, the joke was it took me 7 years. My younger brother's a year younger than me, graduated in his 4-year degree the year after me. So do the math. It took me quite a while to get through it because I kept changing my mind about what I wanted to do and trying different things. I don't think it hurts to use that time to do that. It clearly didn't change a whole lot for me to spend 7 years just trying to figure it out. What I will say is that being passionate about what you do is probably more important than anything, and that you have to do something you love, and when you do, you don't think about it. And you'll find your niche, you'll figure out what it is that you like, that makes you happy, and don't be afraid to sort of challenge the status quo. And certainly don't color between the lines, because you're not going to get any credit for it. Everybody wants to know what's new, and the further you go outside of the lines, the more chance you have of establishing your personal brand.